The ice cracked beneath my feet like a gunshot, and I didn't hesitate. I know that sounds dramatic, maybe even reckless, but when you see a child drowning, you don't think. You just move. And I moved fast, faster than an 8 months pregnant Omega probably should, running across the frozen surface of a lake in the park where I'd been taking my daily walk. The little boy had been playing near the edge. I'd seen him from the path, maybe 6 years old, throwing rocks at the ice. His nanny or babysitter or whoever was supposed to be watching him was on her phone 20 feet away. And then I heard it, that awful crack. Saw him go through. The scream that came out of that child's mouth is something I'll never forget. Pure terror. The kind of sound that bypasses your brain and goes straight to your heart. So I ran. Across the ice. Toward the hole where he'd fallen through. People were shouting behind me. Stop. The ice won't hold. Someone call 911. Oh my God, he's pregnant. I didn't care. There was a baby in that water, and every second mattered. I got to the edge of the hole, and I could see him maybe 3 feet down, his little arms flailing, his winter coat weighing him down. His eyes were wide with panic and already starting to glaze over from the cold. I didn't think about my own baby. Didn't think about the fact that I was 8 months pregnant, and jumping into freezing water could kill us both. I just dropped to my knees, reached down into that black water, and grabbed. My fingers closed around his coat, and I pulled. Hard. Used every bit of strength I had. Got his head above water and heard him gasp and choke and cry. I've got you, I said, trying to keep my voice calm even though my heart was hammering. I've got you, sweetheart. You're okay. But we weren't okay, because the ice beneath me was cracking too. I could hear it, feel it shifting under my weight. Here, someone threw a rope. I don't know where it came from, but suddenly it was there, landing in the water next to us. I grabbed it with one hand, kept the other arm locked around the boy. Hold on to me, I told him. Hold on tight. He wrapped his little arms around my neck, and I held him against my pregnant belly and let whoever had the other end of that rope pull us toward solid ice. My legs were kicking, trying to help, but the water was so cold it felt like knives stabbing into my skin, like my blood was turning to ice in my veins. We reached the edge. Strong hands grabbed the boy first, lifted him out. Then they grabbed me, hauled me up onto ice that groaned but held. I collapsed on my side, shaking so violently I couldn't control it. My teeth were chattering so hard I thought they'd break. But I could hear the boy crying. Alive. Breathing. The baby, someone said. A woman's voice frightened. Oh God, she's pregnant. Someone check the baby. I managed through blue lips. I'm a he. But then everything got fuzzy. I remember hands on me. Someone wrapping me in a coat that wasn't mine. A blanket. Multiple blankets. Someone saying the ambulance was coming. Someone else checking my pulse. And then I heard it. The voice that still visits me in nightmares. Kai, where's my nephew? Someone tell me where Kai is. No. I forced my eyes open, forced myself to focus even though I was shaking so hard I could barely see straight. And there he was, Adrien Frost, running across the park in his expensive wool coat and his designer shoes, his dark hair perfect even though it was windy, his face white with panic. 9 months. It had been 9 months since I'd seen him. 9 months since he called me worthless. 9 months since he'd thrown our engagement ring at my feet and told me to get out of his life because I wasn't good enough for his family. 9 months since my entire world had shattered. I'm here. I'm Kai's uncle. Adrien was shouting at the paramedics who'd just arrived. Is he okay? Tell me he's okay. He's fine, sir. Cold and scared, but fine. This man pulled him out. The paramedic gestured to me. That's when Adrien looked. Really looked. I watched his eyes find me. Watched them move over my face, not recognizing me at first because I'd changed. My hair was longer now. I'd filled out from the pregnancy. I probably looked nothing like the skinny 25-year-old Omega he'd been engaged to. But then I saw it. The moment of recognition. His eyes went wide. His mouth opened. His face went from pale to absolutely white. Eli. His voice cracked on my name. Eli, is that? Oh my God. Eli. I couldn't respond. Couldn't speak. My body was shaking too hard, and I was so cold I felt like I was dying. Sir, we need to get him to the hospital, one of the paramedics said. He's hypothermic, and he's pregnant. We need to make sure the baby's okay. Hi, besties. Welcome back to Cozy BL Corner. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stories like this take everything I have to create, and your support means the world. Now grab your tissues, get comfortable, and let me tell you about Eli and Adrien. Because their story, it's going to make you believe in second chances. Adrien's eyes dropped to my stomach, to the very obvious 8-month pregnancy that I couldn't hide under the blankets they'd wrapped around me. I watched him do the math, saw his face change as realization hit him like a train. Eli, where are you? He couldn't finish the sentence, just stared at my belly and then back at my face. We need to go now, the paramedic said, already loading me onto a gurney. I'm coming with you, Adrien said immediately. No, I found my voice. It came out as barely a whisper, but it was firm. No, I don't want him there. Sir, are you family? The paramedic asked Adrien. Adrien opened his mouth, closed it, looked at me with something desperate in his eyes. He's not, I said. He's not family. Please, I just want to go. They loaded me into the ambulance. I heard Adrien arguing with them, heard him saying something about Kai needing to thank me, heard him trying to get them to let him come. But the doors closed, and we pulled away, and I let myself close my eyes. I'd save his nephew. The universe had to be laughing at me. Of all the children in Portland, of all the frozen lakes, of all the moments, I'd saved Adrien Frost's nephew. And now he knew. Now he'd seen me pregnant and done the math and knew. The baby kicked inside me, a strong movement like he was reminding me he was there, reminding me what I had to protect. It's okay, I whispered, my hand moving to my belly even though I was still shaking. We're okay. We're safe. But I wasn't sure I believed it. At the hospital, they worked fast, got me out of my wet clothes, into a warm gown under heated blankets, started in 4 to warm me from the inside, put monitors on my belly to check the baby's heartbeat. Strong and steady, the nurse said with a smile. Your little guy is doing great. You're very lucky. Lucky, right? I just jumped into a frozen lake 8 months pregnant. Lucky wasn't exactly the word I'd use. But my baby was okay. That was all that mattered. They wanted to keep me overnight for observation. Make sure my body temperature stabilized. Make sure the baby wasn't showing signs of distress. I agreed because I wasn't stupid. I knew I'd done something incredibly dangerous. I'd been in the hospital room for maybe an hour, finally starting to feel warm again when there was a knock on my door. Please don't be him, I thought. Please don't be Adrien. But when the door opened, it wasn't Adrien. It was a little boy with dark curly hair and big brown eyes, holding a stuffed bear that looked bigger than he was. The boy I'd pulled from the lake. Kai, I breathed. Are you the man who saved me? He asked in a small voice. Behind him, a nurse smiled apologetically. He insisted, said he needed to see his hero. Kai walked to my bedside, looking up at me with those huge eyes. You jumped in the water to save me, even though you have a baby in your tummy. I couldn't let you drown, sweetheart, I said softly. My uncle said you were very brave. He said you're the bravest person he's ever seen. Kai held out the stuffed bear. This is Mr. Fuzzy. He helps me when I'm scared. I want you to have him because you were probably scared too. My eyes burned with tears. I didn't want to cry. Thank you, Kai. That's very sweet. But I think Mr. Fuzzy should stay with you. You've been through something scary today. So have you, Kai said seriously. Then he surprised me by climbing up onto the bed, careful of my belly, and wrapping his little arms around my neck. Thank you for saving me. I love you. And that's when I started crying. Because this child was so innocent and sweet, and I couldn't regret jumping in that water to save him. Not even a little bit. I love you too, buddy, I whispered, hugging him back. Kai, we need to let Eli rest, a woman's voice said from the doorway. Not the nurse this time. Someone else. Kai pulled back and climbed down from the bed. Will I see you again? Can you come to my birthday party? It's in 2 weeks, and Uncle Adrien said I could invite anyone I want, and I want to invite you. Kai, I started. Please. His bottom lip trembled. You're my hero. How could I say no to that face? Okay, I'll come to your birthday party. His whole face lit up. Really? Promise. Promise. He bounced excitedly and then ran out of the room, presumably to tell whoever had brought him the good news. I let my head fall back against the pillow, exhaustion washing over me. And then Adrien walked in. He looked terrible. His usually perfect hair was messy, like he'd been running his hands through it. His eyes were red-rimmed. His expensive coat was gone, replaced with just his dress shirt and slacks. He looked like he'd aged 5 years in the past few hours. "Eli," he said, and his voice broke on my name. "You need to leave," I said, not looking at him. "I can't. Eli, I need to know. The baby. Is it mine? Why would it matter?" I kept my eyes on the ceiling, on the fluorescent lights, on anything but him. Because if it's mine, then I've missed 8 months. 8 months of your pregnancy. 8 months of our baby's life. He moved closer to the bed. "Eli, please. Please look at me. I don't want to look at you. I know. I know you hate me. I know I don't deserve." "You're right. You don't." I finally turned my head to glare at him. "You call me worthless, Adrien. You said I'd never be good enough for your family. You threw our engagement ring at me and told me to get out of your life. So I did. Why would I come back and tell you I was pregnant? So you could call our baby worthless too." He flinched like I'd hit him. "I never would have. You already did. The baby is part of me. If I'm worthless, then so is he." "You're not worthless." Adrien's voice was fierce suddenly. "God, Eli, you're not worthless. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I've regretted those words every single day for 9 months." "Good. You should regret them." I turned away again. "Now leave." "I can't leave. That's my baby. My son." "No, this is my baby. My son. You gave up any right to him when you threw me away." "Eli, I was homeless for 2 months after you kicked me out. Did you know that?" I couldn't stop the words now. They were pouring out like poison. I slept in my car, in parking lots, behind grocery stores. I showered at the gym when I could afford the day pass. I worked 3 jobs just to save enough for a security deposit on an apartment. I didn't know. No, you didn't know because you didn't care. I was worthless, remember? So why would you check on me? Why would you make sure I was okay? I laughed bitterly. I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after you left me. 2 weeks after you destroyed me. I was homeless and pregnant and completely alone. I almost lost him twice from the stress. Twice, Adrien. I bled and thought I was losing our baby, and I had no one. No family. No friends because you'd isolated me from everyone. No you because you'd made it very clear I was nothing to you. Adrien's face was white, his hands shaking. "Eli, I'm so sorry. God, I'm so sorry. Your apologies don't undo 9 months of hell. They don't undo sleeping in my car while pregnant. They don't undo working until I collapsed from exhaustion. They don't undo the fear and the pain and the loneliness." Tears were streaming down my face now. "So take your apologies and leave. I don't want them. I don't want you. But I want you." His voice was barely a whisper. "I wanted you every single day for 9 months. I made the biggest mistake of my life, and I can't. I can't lose you again. I can't lose our baby. Please, Eli, please let me be part of this." "Why should I?" "Because he deserves a father. And because I love you. I never stopped loving you." I laughed, harsh and broken. "You don't love me. You love the idea of me. Until your mother convinced you I was using you for money. Until you believed I was some gold-digging omega trying to trap you. I know. I know I believe lies. I know I let my mother poison me against you. But I've had 9 months to think about it. 9 months to realize that you never asked me for anything. That you paid for yourself even when I wanted to pay. That you were uncomfortable with expensive gifts. That you loved me for me, not my money." He moved closer. "I've looked for you, Eli. For months. You changed your number. Moved. I couldn't find you, and it was killing me not knowing if you were okay. Well, now you know. I'm fine. The baby's fine. You can leave with a clear conscience." "I don't want to leave. I don't care what you want." I met his eyes finally. "You made your choice 9 months ago. Now I'm making mine. Stay away from me. Stay away from my baby." "Our baby," he corrected softly. "No, my baby. Mine. You don't get to show up now and play father after abandoning us." "I didn't know. You didn't want to know. There's a difference." I pressed the call button for the nurse. "I'd like you to leave now." Adrien looked like I'd stabbed him, but he nodded slowly. Okay, I'll go. But Eli, I'm not giving up. I'm not walking away from you or our son. Not again. Never again." He left just as the nurse came in, asking if I needed something. "No," I said quietly. I just needed someone to leave. But I was lying. Because even though I hated him, even though he destroyed me, there was a part of me that had wanted him to stay. A stupid, broken part of my heart that still remembered what it was like to love him. I pressed my hand to my belly, felt my baby kick. "It's just us," I whispered. "Just you and me, baby boy. We don't need him. We don't need anyone." But even as I said it, I wasn't sure I believed it. The next 2 weeks were strange. The hospital released me after 24 hours with instructions to rest and keep warm and try not to jump into any more frozen lakes. I went back to my small apartment, back to my life, and tried to pretend nothing had changed. But everything had changed. Adrien knew about the baby now. Adrien knew where I'd been, what I'd been through. And most terrifyingly, Adrien had said he wasn't giving up. I tried to forget about it. Try to focus on preparing for the baby, who would be here in less than a month. I'd saved enough money for the basics. Had a crib set up in the corner of my studio apartment. Had tiny clothes washed and folded. Had bottles and diapers and all the things the parenting book said I'd need. I've been doing this alone for 8 months. I could keep doing it alone. But then Kai's birthday party arrived, and I remember my promise. I almost didn't go. Stood outside Adrien's mother's massive estate in my modest clothes, holding the small gift I'd bought for Kai, and thought about just leaving. About breaking my promise to a 6-year-old because I was too scared to face his uncle. But then I remembered Kai's face, his innocence, his sweetness, and I couldn't do it. Couldn't break his heart. So I walked up to the front door and rang the bell. A woman in a maid's uniform answered, smiled at me kindly, and directed me to the backyard where the party was being held. The backyard was enormous. There were balloons and a bounce house and a face painting station and what looked like a petting zoo. Rich kids ran around in expensive clothes while their parents sipped champagne and networked. I felt so out of place, I wanted to disappear. "Eli!" Kai's shout cut through the noise. He came running toward me, wearing a birthday crown and a huge smile. "You came. You really came. I told Uncle Adrien you would, but he said he wasn't sure, and I said you promised, and I keep my promises," I said, smiling despite my discomfort. I handed him the gift. "Happy birthday, Kai." He ripped into it with enthusiasm, pulling out the stuffed otter I'd bought him. "An otter. They're my favorite." "How did you know?" "Lucky guess," I said, even though I'd actually asked the nurse at the hospital what Kai liked. "Come on, you have to see everything. There's a magician and a cotton candy machine," and he grabbed my hand and pulled me further into the party. I let him drag me around, introducing me to his friends as the hero who saved my life. The other kids looked at me with wide eyes, asking questions about the frozen lake, about being brave, about my pregnant belly. I answered as best I could, trying to be kind to these innocent children while very aware that I was being watched. Adrien was standing near the house with a group of wealthy-looking adults, but his eyes were on me, had been on me since the moment I arrived. I ignored him, focused on Kai, on making this child's birthday special because he deserved it. But then Eleanor Frost appeared, Adrien's mother, the woman who'd investigated my background and decided I wasn't good enough for her son, the woman who'd convinced Adrien I was using him for money. She looked exactly as I remembered. Perfectly styled gray hair, expensive pearls, a smile that didn't reach her cold blue eyes. "Well," she said, looking me up and down with obvious distaste. "So you're the Omega who saved Kai. How convenient." "Eleanor," Adrien's voice came from behind me. Don't what, darling? I'm simply greeting our guest." She turned her attention back to me. "I hear congratulations are in order. You're expecting. How lovely. And the father?" "Is none of your business," I said quietly. "Oh, but I think it is my business. Especially if you're trying to worm your way back into my son's life by using his nephew's attachment to you." "Mother, that's enough." Adrien was beside me now, his hand moving like he wanted to touch my back but stopping himself. "Eli is here because Kai invited him. Because Eli saved Kai's life. You will treat him with respect." Eleanor's eyebrows rose. "Respect? For the Omega who tried to trap you in a marriage? Who's clearly pregnant with some other alpha's baby and—" "It's my baby," Adrien said, his voice carrying across the sudden silence that had fallen over the nearby guests. "The baby Eli is carrying is mine, and you will not speak to him that way. Not now. Not ever." Eleanor's face went pale, then flushed with anger. What? You heard me. Eli is pregnant with my child. My son. Your grandson. And I will not stand here and let you insult either of them. I wanted to be angry that he'd announced it like that. Wanted to be furious that he'd made this public. But there was something in his voice. Something protective and fierce that I'd never heard before. We need to talk, Eleanor said tightly. Inside. Now. No. I'm not leaving Eli alone at this party. If you want to talk, we talk later. Right now. I'm exactly where I need to be. Eleanor's mouth opened and closed. Then she turned on her heel and stalked away. The other guests were staring now, whispering. I could see the judgment in their eyes, the speculation, the gossip that would spread through Portland's wealthy circles. I need to go, I said quietly. Please don't, Adrien said. Kyle will be devastated. I can't be here with everyone staring at me. Then let's go somewhere else. He gently took my elbow. Come on, I know a place where we can talk. He led me through the house to what looked like a library. Books lined the walls from floor to ceiling. There was a fireplace, comfortable chairs, the smell of old paper and wood polish. This was always my favorite room in this house, Adrien said quietly. I used to hide here when I was a kid. When Mother's parties got too loud or her expectations got too heavy. I didn't respond, just stood there, trying to calm my racing heart. I'm sorry, he said, for announcing it like that. But I couldn't stand there and let her talk to you that way. Let her imply that that you're anything less than amazing. I'm not amazing. I jumped into a frozen lake while 8 months pregnant. That's not amazing. That's stupid. You saved a child's life. My nephew's life. That's the definition of amazing. He moved closer. Eli, can we please talk? Really talk? What's there to talk about? Everything. 9 months of everything. I need to tell you. I need to explain. Explain what? How you believe your mother's lies. How you threw away our relationship without even talking to me about it. How you call me worthless. Yes, he said simply. All of that. Please. Just listen. And if you still hate me after, I'll understand. I'll leave you alone if that's what you want. But please let me explain. I was exhausted, pregnant and emotional, and so tired of carrying all this pain alone. So I nodded, sat down in one of the chairs. Fine. Explain. Adrien sat across from me, his hands clasped together, his knuckles white. My mother came to me 9 months ago with a file. A background check she'd run on you without my knowledge. It had everything. Your time in foster care, your lack of family, your financial struggles. And she'd twisted it all, made it look like you were calculating. Like you'd researched me, targeted me, planned everything. I didn't. I know that now. But in that moment, with her sitting there telling me I was being used, showing me evidence, I believed her. Because she's my mother, and I'd never had reason not to trust her. He looked at me with so much pain in his eyes. I was stupid, privileged, blind. I'd never experienced real financial hardship, so I couldn't imagine that someone would value anything else. I thought everyone was like the people I'd grown up with, people who measured worth in dollar signs. So you believed her lies instead of believing in me. Yes. And the moment I said those words to you, the moment I saw your face break, I knew I'd made a mistake. But my pride wouldn't let me take them back. My pride and my mother in my ear telling me I'd done the right thing, that I'd dodged a bullet, that I'd find someone more appropriate. Did you? I asked bitterly. Find someone more appropriate? No. I spent 9 months trying to find you. I went to your old apartment, but you'd moved. I called your number, but it was disconnected. I went to the diner where you used to work, but they said you'd quit. It was like you'd vanished. He leaned forward, and every day that passed, I regretted what I'd said more. I'd lie awake at night thinking about you, wondering if you were okay, wondering if you hated me as much as I hated myself. I did hate you. I do hate you. I know. You have every right to. He took a shaky breath. When I saw you on that frozen lake, when I realized it was you pulling Kai out of the water, I couldn't breathe. And then I saw that you were pregnant, and I hoped, God, I hoped it wasn't mine, because if it was mine, that meant you'd been pregnant and alone and I'd done that to you. But you did do that to me. I know, and I can never undo it. I can never take back those months of hell you went through. But Eli, I want to be there now. I want to be there for our son. I want to be there for you. Why? Out of guilt. Out of love. His voice was fierce. I love you. I've loved you this whole time. I loved you when we were together. I loved you when I was too stupid to fight for you. I loved you every single day you were gone. And I love you now. I love you and our baby, and I want a chance to prove it. To prove that I've learned. That I'm not the same man who believed those lies. People don't change, Adrien. Yes, they do. When they lose everything that matters, they change. I lost you, and it broke something in me. Made me look at my life, at my priorities, at the way I'd been raised to value the wrong things. I've spent 9 months becoming someone who deserves you. Someone who sees worth in kindness and courage and love instead of bank accounts and family names. I wanted to believe him. God, how I wanted to believe him. But the hurt was still there, still fresh, still raw. I need time, I said finally. I need to think about this. About what's best for the baby. Take all the time you need. I'll wait. I'll wait however long it takes. And your mother? She made it clear I'm not welcome in your family. My mother doesn't control my life anymore. I've made that clear to her. If she can't accept you and our son, then she won't be part of our lives. It's that simple. She's your mother, and you're the person I love. You and our baby. That's what matters now. He stood up slowly. Would it be okay if I came to your next doctor's appointment? I like to see the baby, hear his heartbeat, be part of this even if just a little. I hesitated. Every instinct told me to say no, to protect myself and my baby from more hurt. But another part of me, the part that remembered loving this man, wanted to give him a chance. Thursday, I said quietly. 2:00, Rose City Women's Clinic. His face transformed. Pure hope and gratitude, and something that looked like it might be love. I'll be there. I promise. Don't make promises you can't keep. I keep the ones that matter, he said softly. Thursday came, and I was nervous. I'd barely slept the night before, anxious about seeing Adrien again, about letting him into this part of my pregnancy. I almost hoped he wouldn't show up, that he'd realize this was too complicated and back out. But when I arrived at the clinic, he was already there, sitting in the waiting room with a nervous expression, holding a small gift bag. Eli, he said, standing up immediately. Thank you for letting me come. You're the father. You have a right to be here. I didn't mention that I'd spent 9 months without him, that I'd done every other appointment alone. We sat in the waiting room in awkward silence until the nurse called my name. Eli? Anne. She looked at Adrien expectantly. Adrien, I'm the father. The nurse smiled. Come on back, you two. In the examination room, Adrien looked around at everything with wide eyes. The posters about fetal development, the stirrups, the ultrasound machine. Is this your first appointment? The nurse asked him kindly. Yes, Adrien said quietly. Well, you're going to get to see your baby boy today. Isn't that exciting? He nodded, looking at me. Very exciting. Dr. Williams came in, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a warm smile. She'd been my doctor through this whole pregnancy, had seen me at my lowest points, had encouraged me when I was scared and alone. Eli, she said warmly, then noticed Adrien. Oh, we have Dad here today. Yes, I said simply, not explaining. Wonderful. Let's take a look at this baby, shall we? She had me lie back and lifted my shirt, exposing my pregnant belly. Adrien's breath caught. This was the first time he was seeing it properly, seeing how big I'd gotten, how close we were to the end. Dr. Williams squirted the gel on my stomach and pressed the ultrasound wand down. The room filled with the sound of rapid heartbeat. There's your son, Dr. Williams said, pointing to the screen. Looking perfect. Good size, strong heartbeat, moving around nicely. I'd seen this before, had been to enough ultrasounds that I knew what I was looking at. But Adrien was staring at that screen like it was a miracle. That's him. His voice cracked. That's our baby. That's him, Dr. Williams confirmed. Would you like to know how much he weighs? Adrien nodded, unable to look away from the screen. About 5.5 pounds. He'll probably be around 7 pounds at birth if you go to term. He's so perfect, Adrien whispered. Look at him, Eli. Look at our son. And I did look. Watched our baby move on the screen. Watched his little hand move to his mouth. Watched his chest move with practice breaths. May I? Adrien gestured to my belly. I hesitated, then nodded. He placed his hand on my stomach gently, reverently, like he was touching something sacred. And that's when the baby kicked. Hard. Right against Adrien's palm. Oh my God, Adrien breathed. He kicked. He kicked me. He's been very active today, I said. Probably because I had coffee this morning. That was amazing. I can't even describe it. Adrien's eyes were wet with tears. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be here. For letting me see him. Dr. Williams smiled at both of us. Everything looks great. Due date is still 3 weeks away. You're doing wonderfully, Eli. After the appointment, Adrien walked me to my car. We've been mostly silent, both processing what we'd just seen. Can I take you to lunch? Adrien asked. Please? I'd like to spend more time with you. If you're willing. I was hungry and tired, and for some reason, I didn't want to be alone. Okay, I said, but somewhere normal. Not fancy. Anywhere you want. We ended up at a small diner near my apartment. The kind of place with cracked vinyl seats and coffee that tasted like it had been sitting too long, but was somehow perfect anyway. Adrien looked so out of place in his expensive suit, but he didn't seem to care. Tell me about the pregnancy, he said after we ordered. Everything. I want to know everything I missed. So I told him about the morning sickness that had lasted until my second trimester, about the first time I felt the baby move, about the cravings for pickles and ice cream, about the fears and the joy and the exhaustion. I'm sorry I wasn't there, he said quietly. I'm so sorry you went through all that alone. I managed. You shouldn't have had to manage. You should have had support. Love. Someone to hold your hair when you were sick and run out for pickles at 2 in the morning. Life isn't a fairy tale, Adrien. Sometimes you don't get the support you need. You just survive, but you deserve more than survival. You deserve to be happy, to be loved, to have someone take care of you. I take care of myself. I always have. I know. That's what makes you so strong. He reached across the table like he wanted to take my hand, then stopped himself. Can I ask you something? Okay. Will you let me be part of this? Not just doctor's appointments, but everything. I want to be there when you can't sleep at night because the baby won't stop kicking. I want to build the crib and wash the baby clothes and read parenting books until I know them by heart. I want to be your partner in this. If you'll let me. I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw something I'd never seen before. Vulnerability. Real, genuine vulnerability. I don't know if I can trust you again, I said honestly. You broke me, Adrien. You broke me so completely that I'm still picking up the pieces. And I can't let you do that again. I have to protect myself. And I have to protect our baby. I understand. And I'm not asking you to trust me right away. I'm asking for a chance to earn it back. Day by day. Action by action. He leaned forward. Let me prove to you that I've changed. That I'm not the man who said those horrible things. That I'm someone who deserves to be in our son's life. In your life. And if I can't forgive you, if the hurt is too deep, then I'll accept that. But I'll still be the best father I can be to our son. I'll still show up. I'll still be there. Because that's what he deserves. I wanted to say no. Wanted to protect my heart from more damage. But there was a part of me, a stupid, hopeful part, that wanted to believe him. Okay, I said finally. But I have conditions. Anything. First, you don't get to waltz back into my life and take over. This is still MY pregnancy, my baby, my choices. You're a guest right now. You have to earn the right to be more. I understand. Second, if your mother says one more cruel thing to me, you cut her off completely. I won't have my son around someone who thinks his papa is worthless. Done. I've already made that clear to her. Third, you're transparent with me. About everything. Your feelings, your intentions, your doubts. No more secrets. No more lies. If this is going to work, I need honesty. You have it. Complete honesty, I promise. And fourth, I took a breath. You don't push me. I'm not ready for romance. I'm not ready to be with you again. Maybe I never will be. You have to be okay with that possibility. His face fell slightly, but he nodded. I'm okay with it. I'll take whatever you're willing to give me, even if it's just co-parenting, even if you never love me again. I never said I stopped loving you. I said quietly. That's the problem. I still love you, even after everything, even though I shouldn't. But loving you and trusting you are two different things. Adrien's eyes went wide. You still love me? I hate that I do. I hate that 9 months of suffering couldn't kill my feelings for you. But I can't lie to myself anymore. I love you. I'm just not sure that's enough. It's enough for me, he whispered. It's more than I deserve. Yeah, I said. It is. The next 2 weeks fell into a routine. Adrien came by my apartment every evening after work. He'd bring dinner, never expensive, always from places I chose. We'd eat together and talk. He'd ask about my day, how I was feeling if the baby had kicked. He fixed my leaky faucet, installed a carbon monoxide detector, built the crib that had been sitting in a box for 3 months because I couldn't manage it alone. He read parenting books and asked me questions. Went with me to a birthing class where we were the only couple who clearly weren't together. Practiced breathing exercises with me, even though it was awkward. He was trying, really trying. And despite myself, my walls were starting to crack. I caught myself smiling at his terrible jokes, looking forward to his evening visits, feeling disappointed on the one night he had to cancel for a work emergency. I'm falling for him again, I told my neighbor Rosa one afternoon. She was an older woman who lived next door and had become like a grandmother to me over the past months. Is that such a bad thing? Rosa asked, knitting something small and blue for the baby. Yes, because what if he hurts me again? What if this is all just guilt and obligation, and the moment the baby is born, he realizes he doesn't actually want this life? What if he doesn't? What if he's genuine? What if he really has changed? Rosa looked at me over her knitting needles. Sometimes people need to lose everything to realize what matters. Maybe that's what happened to him. Or maybe I'm just being stupid and desperate because I'm scared to do this alone. You're not alone, Mijo. You have me. You have that baby. And you have a man who shows up every single day, proving he's not going anywhere. She set down her knitting. But here's what you need to decide. Are you going to let the pain of the past destroy your chance at a future? Because that's what you're doing. You're so afraid of being hurt again that you won't let yourself be happy. Being cautious isn't the same as being afraid. No, but there comes a point where caution becomes a prison. You're locked in your hurt, Eli, and the only person who can set you free is you. I thought about her words that night as I lay in bed, my hand on my belly, feeling the baby move. Was she right? Was I so trapped in my pain that I couldn't see the possibility of healing? Adrien had proven himself day after day, had shown up when he said he would, had been patient and kind and respectful of my boundaries, had cut his mother off when she tried to interfere, had put me and the baby first in every decision. What more did I need from him? Maybe the real question was, what did I need from myself? I was so lost in thought that I almost didn't notice when the cramping started. Just a tightening in my belly, uncomfortable but not painful. Braxton Hicks, I thought. I've been having them for weeks. But then it happened again, and again, more regular this time. I looked at the clock. 11 p.m. Another cramp, stronger this time. I breathed through it, counting. 60 seconds. No. It was too early. I still had 2 weeks until my due date. But when I stood up to go to the bathroom, I felt it. A warm gush of fluid running down my legs. My water had broken. Oh God, I whispered. Okay. Don't panic. But I was panicking because I was alone and in labor, and my hospital bag was only half packed, and I didn't have a car because I'd been taking the bus everywhere. And Adrien. I needed to call Adrien. My hand was shaking as I found my phone, found his contact. It rang twice before he answered. Eli, what's wrong? It's late. My water broke, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. I'm in labor. The baby's coming. I'm on my way. Don't move. Don't do anything. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Adrien. 10 minutes, Eli. I promise. Just breathe. He hung up, and I stood there in my wet pajamas, feeling another contraction build. This one was stronger, painful enough to make me gasp. Okay, baby, I whispered, hand on my belly. We're doing this. We're really doing this. I managed to change into dry clothes, grab my half-packed hospital bag, and was adding things I'd forgotten when I heard pounding on my door. Eli, open up. I opened the door to find Adrien standing there, wild-eyed and breathless. His hair was a mess, and he was wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt instead of his usual expensive clothes. He'd clearly just thrown on whatever was closest. How are you? How far apart are the contractions? Do we need to call an ambulance? The words tumbled out of him. I'm okay. Contractions are about 8 minutes apart. We have time. Another one hit, and I gripped the doorframe, breathing through it. Adrien's hand immediately went to my lower back, rubbing in circles like we'd practiced in birthing class. You're doing great. Just breathe. In through your nose, out through your mouth. When it passed, I leaned against him for a moment, exhausted already. I'm scared. I know. But you're the bravest person I know. You jumped into a frozen lake to save child. You can do this. He kissed the top of my head without thinking, then pulled back. Sorry. I shouldn't have. It's okay, I said quietly. Let's just get to the hospital. The drive was surreal. Contractions were coming faster now, every 6 minutes, then 5. Adrien held my hand at red lights, talked me through each contraction, told me I was doing amazing even though I was cursing and crying and squeezing his hand hard enough to probably break bones. Almost there, he kept saying. Almost there, Eli. You're doing so good. At the hospital, they got me into a wheelchair and rushed me upstairs. Got me into a delivery room. Got me changed into a gown. Started in 4. You're at 6 centimeters, the nurse said cheerfully. Moving fast for first baby. Probably have you pushing in a few hours. A few hours. I wanted to cry. I wanted drugs. I wanted this to be over. You can do this, Adrien said, still holding my hand. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. And he wasn't. Through every contraction, through every moment of pain, through my cursing and crying and begging for an epidural that the anesthesiologist said I was too far along for. I can't. I sobbed during a particularly bad contraction. I can't do this. It hurts too much. Yes, you can. You're already doing it. You're so strong, Eli. So brave. Adrien's voice was steady, even though I could see tears in his eyes. Just a little longer. Our son is almost here. The doctor came in to check me. 10 centimeters. It's time to push. I can't. You can, Adrien said fiercely. Look at me, Eli. Look at me. I met his eyes. You are the strongest person I have ever known. You survived being homeless while pregnant. You survived 9 months alone. You jumped into a frozen lake to save a child. You can do this. I believe in you. Our son needs you. I need you. You can do this. Something in his voice steadied me, gave me strength I didn't know I had. Okay, I whispered. Okay, I can do this. And I did. Pushed through pain I didn't think was possible. Pushed until I thought I'd break. Pushed until I heard it. A cry, high and sharp and perfect. It's a boy, the doctor announced. A beautiful, healthy boy. They placed him on my chest, and I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Could only stare at this tiny, perfect person who'd been inside me for 9 months and was now here in my arms, real. Oh my God, I sobbed. Oh my God. Hi, baby. Hi, sweetheart. I'm your papa. I'm your papa, and I love you so much. He was covered in vernix and blood, and he was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Dark hair like mine. Nose like Adrien's. Tiny fingers that wrapped around mine with surprising strength. Eli, Adrien breathed. He was crying openly now, looking at our son with such wonder. He's perfect. He's absolutely perfect. Do you want to cut the cord? The doctor asked Adrien. Adrien looked at me, asking permission. I nodded. He cut the umbilical cord with shaking hands, tears streaming down his face. Hello, son, he whispered. I'm your dad, and I promise you right now, I will never let you down. Never. They took the baby to clean him up, weigh him, check him over. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. 19 inches long. Perfect APGAR scores. I lay there, exhausted and overwhelmed and so full of love, I thought my heart might burst. You were amazing, Adrien said, squeezing my hand. Absolutely amazing. I didn't do it alone. You were there. You helped. I didn't do anything. You did everything. I looked at him, really looked at him. Thank you. For being here. For not leaving. I'll never leave again, he said. I promise you, Eli. Never again. They brought the baby back, clean and wrapped in a blue blanket, a tiny hat on his head. Placed him in my arms again. Have you thought about names? The nurse asked. I looked at Adrien. We never talked about names. What do you like? He asked. I was thinking, James, after my foster father. He was one of the only people who was ever kind to me. James, Adrien repeated softly. James Frost. James Chun, I corrected. My last name. Adrien's face fell slightly, but he nodded. Okay, whatever you want. But I hesitated. His middle name could be Adrien. James Adrien Shun, if you want. Adrien's eyes filled with tears again. Really? You were here? You showed up? You didn't leave. That matters. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you so much. We sat there for a while, just the three of us. Adrien held James while I rested, and I watched him with our son. Watched him count tiny fingers and toes. Watched him stare at James like he was the most precious thing in the world. I love him, Adrien said quietly. I already love him so much it scares me. That's what being a parent is. Being terrified and in love at the same time. And I love you, Adrien added, looking up at me. I know I don't have the right to say it. I know I hurt you too badly. But I need you to know. I love you, Eli. I've loved you this whole time. And if you never love me back, if we only ever co-parent, I'll accept that. But I needed to say it. I didn't respond right away. Just watched him with our son. Thought about the past 9 months. The pain and the healing. The fear and the hope. I do love you, I said finally. I told you that weeks ago. I never stopped. But, Adrien, I'm still scared. I'm scared you'll realize this isn't what you want. That I'm not what you want. That you'll leave again. I won't. I swear to you on our son's life, I won't. People make promises they can't keep. Then let me prove it to you. Day by day, year by year. Let me show you that I'm not going anywhere. He looked back at James. I want this. I want you. I want our family. Not because of guilt or obligation. Because this, right here, is the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. Rose's words came back to me. About letting the pain of the past destroy the chance at a future. About being trapped and hurt. Maybe it was time to let myself be free. Okay, I said softly. Adrien looked up. Okay, we can try. Slowly. Day by day, like you said. But Adrien, if you hurt me again, I won't. I swear I won't. If you do, if you break me again, I won't survive it. So you need to be sure, really sure, that this is what you want. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. He handed James back to me carefully. I want you. I want him. I want to wake up every morning with you both. I want to change diapers at 3 a.m. and deal with teething and teach him to ride a bike. I want all of it. The hard parts and the beautiful parts. The sleepless nights and the first smiles. Everything. With you. I felt tears sliding down my cheeks. We have a lot to work through. A lot of hurt to heal. I know. And I'll spend every day helping you heal. Making up for what I did. Being the partner you deserved from the beginning. James made a small noise, his little hand reaching up. Adrien's finger found his palm, and James gripped it tight. He's strong, Adrien said with wonder. He has to be. He's got my stubbornness and your determination. Poor kid doesn't stand a chance. Adrien laughed. It was such a good sound. Warm and real and full of joy. We stayed like that for a long time. The three of us. Our little family. Broken and healing and trying. It wasn't perfect. We had a long road ahead of us. Counseling and hard conversations and learning to trust again. Learning to be partners and parents and everything in between. But as I looked at Adrien holding our son's tiny hand, as I felt the weight of James in my arms, I thought maybe we'd make it. Maybe love really could survive the worst hurt. Maybe second chances were real. Thank you, I said to Adrien. For what? For not giving up. For trying. For being here. Thank you for letting me. For giving me another chance. For saving Kai and inadvertently saving me too. He leaned over and kissed my forehead gently. I won't waste it. I promise you. Good. Because we're a package deal now. You get me. You get midnight diaper changes and baby vomit and no sleep. Sounds perfect. And somehow it did. 6 months later, we were sitting in our new apartment. Bigger than my studio, smaller than Adrien's mansion. A compromise we'd found together. James was sleeping in his crib, while Adrien and I had a rare, quiet moment. We've been taking it slow like I'd asked. Dating again. Rebuilding trust. Going to couples therapy to work through the damage. It wasn't easy. Some days I still had flashbacks to the hurt. Still heard his voice calling me worthless. Still felt the pain of those 9 months alone. But he was patient. So patient. Never pushed. Always there when the panic hit. Always ready to reassure me that he wasn't going anywhere. I have something for you. Adrien said, pulling out a small box. My heart jumped. Adrien, it's not what you think. Or maybe it is. I don't know. He opened the box to reveal a simple silver band. Not an engagement ring, just a promise ring. I know we're not ready yet. I know we have more healing to do. But I wanted you to have this. As a reminder that I'm in this for the long haul. That I'm not going anywhere. That someday, when you're ready, I want to ask you properly. I want to marry you and spend my life making you happy. I looked at the ring, then at him. At this man who'd broken me and then spent months putting me back together. Who'd shown up every single day. Who'd held my hand through labor and gotten up for every night feeding. Who'd changed diapers and learned to swaddle and read baby books until he knew them by heart. Who'd proved, day by day, that people really could change. Ask me, I said. What? Ask me. Properly. Right now. Eli, you just said we're not ready. I said I wasn't ready 6 months ago. But I am now. I trust you now. I love you now. So ask me. Adrien's eyes went wide. You're serious? Ask me before I change my mind. He dropped to one knee right there in our living room, holding that simple silver band, and he was crying and smiling at the same time. Eli Chun, you are the bravest, strongest, most amazing person I have ever known. You jumped into a frozen lake to save my nephew. You survived 9 months of hell because of my mistakes. You brought our beautiful son into the world. And somehow, impossibly, you've forgiven me enough to give me another chance. Will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving I'm worthy of you? Will you be my husband? Yes, I said, and I was crying too. Yes, I'll marry you. He slid the ring on my finger and pulled me into his arms and kissed me like he'd been waiting his whole life for this moment. From the nursery, we heard James start a fuss. I'll get him, Adrien said. No, let me. You've been with him all day. Rest. I watched him go to our son, watched him lift James with such gentle care, watched him rock and soothe and whisper promises about tomorrow. And I thought about the frozen lake. About the moment I jumped in to save a child I didn't know. About how that one act of bravery had led to this. To healing and love and family and second chances. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is save someone else. And sometimes, in saving them, you save yourself too. My name is Eli. I jumped into a frozen lake while 8 months pregnant. I saved a little boy's life. And in doing so, I found my way back to the man I loved. Found my way to forgiveness. Found my way to a family I thought I'd lost forever. This is our story of mistakes and redemption, of hurt and healing, of love that survived even the cruelest words. And it's only just beginning. The end. Thank you so much for staying until the very end of Eli and Adrien's story. If this touched your heart, if you found yourself rooting for them, crying with them, hoping for their happiness, please leave a comment and let me know. Your words mean everything. And if you're new here, subscribe to Cozy BL Corner. Because stories like this, stories about brave people and second chances and love that heals, are what we do here. Until next time, remember, sometimes the most broken things become the most beautiful when they're put back together with love.